Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with our friend, Michael Kell. Michael, man of many names, many words, many things. Do you prefer I call you Michael Kell? Because that's what you have on your Zoom, but I know you're also Jean
Well,
Michel
actually, it doesn't
Polyakov.
matter. I mean, I
You
was
are
thinking maybe I shouldn't use the name in the first place. It's
no
causing me more trouble than not. So it's okay to use me. It's me.
the alias. Oh, well,
Yeah.
pleasure to have you back here. Please, now, Randy, I want to ask because there's so much to you that I've learned over the past few months speaking with you, but tell me who you are within a minute. Tell our listeners
In
who
a
you
minute?
are, what you do. Yes, go.
Yep.
Countdown.
I'm a seeker of the endless bountiful.
That's beautifully said. Perfect. See, you're so modest. He doesn't mention all his background, his education, his degrees, his writings, his work. But you are such a modest, down to earth person. That's most important. But thank you for being here, Michael Kell. What are we searching for today?
Actually, I think we have like a bunch more shows. Okay.
Okay, good. I'm not sure. I don't
I
know.
mean, a
I'm
lot
not
more.
involved on that end, so I have no idea. But okay,
No,
go.
I think
Tell
we
me.
do.
Fill me in.
But what I'd like to, not today, because today I would just answer questions because I've been editing a book again. I keep editing until there's no more errors left, and I make it simpler and simpler to understand. So I got down, it's actually 3 books in one, codices. So just finishing the first codices, dropped me from 9th grade to 7th grade, which is where I have to be in writing, 7th, 8th grade. And actually, I saw my brother in Costa Rica. He's asking me, like, why? Because he wants to write a book. He goes, like, why does people only read a 7th and 8th grade? You know, that's because the American system is stupid. You know, I go, I doubt that. I think by the time you're 7th and 8th grade or 9th grade, you know how to write. I mean, you should know how to write. You know, and your vocabulary is big enough that you can understand most anything, unless it's not technical. Unless it's technical. And so I think that's just where writing style naturally is. Now you can write a lot more higher, but you have to be writing for an audience like philosophers or somebody, you know, or some kind of anthropological book that nobody can really understand anyway. Because it's too advanced, you know, there's too many words in it. You have to think about it.
Oh my gosh.
So that was good to do because it's too hard. People won't read it. You know, and I've read books that the author writes it's it's too difficult to read.
Wow.
You know, and it's not because I'm stupid. It's just he just doesn't know how to write.
Yeah.
He should make it simpler, you know, and only worry about sometimes you have to use a word that people don't know and maybe put a footnote and explain it to them. You know, that's doing that. So I was looking at the spiritual teachings of Gabriel Baliat, who turns out in the story, you find out he's actually God who works in all the universes. He's a working God.
Yeah.
You know? But this book, it's interesting because it starts out, the first book is all about him talking to a girl named Sophie, one of his students, takes her to heaven, Emmanuel Swedenborg goes to hell, explain how everything actually works.
Okay.
Simply. Not that simple, but simply as it can. And so it's extremely intellectual, but there's little tidbits of passion, but nothing going on really, but the girl likes him a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, she doesn't know that yet, but so he has love. And, you know, but the second book is called the metatheology of the genies. Okay.
Yeah.
So I created a whole world of the jinn spontaneously, which is much more down to earth, much more people involved in it, you know, and it has a little eroticism in it. But the third book is a book about preparations for war, in which they're in Camelot, which is from another story.
Yeah.
And they're going to get attacked by the evil's minions, Ari Lilith and Ari Simeon. And
whoa. Do you see my camera flipping out right now?
Yeah.
Wait, do that again. Did you see the camera just move? Now I have to record it.
No, it's not moving now.
It was just moving. Okay, it stopped. Okay, just making sure. I got out the station note. That did happen last week, and I had to cancel my shows and get a different camera, which is now fine. But okay, let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the third one is much more typical of a fantasy novel. You know, good versus evil. You know, and so one of my problems is that I'm in this thing called self-publishing school, which doesn't call it school anymore. And so I have worked with some really famous authors in fiction. You know, and they say, well, we got to figure out like who you write like. I said, I don't write like anybody. I mean, I have a book. Okay, it has 3 different genres in it. Yeah. People are insane unless they understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would like to share that book a little bit in some of our shows, but I don't want to skip parts of it because
Okay.
I mean, I could, maybe I will, but it's really an eye opener on philosophy and spirituality.
Okay.
Fixes Jesus' sayings and stuff and corrects them. And it's always women are important in my stories.
Mm-hmm. I know you love
Most
women.
people don't know that actually, if you go back to look at the Elohim, okay, right, in Old Testament in Genesis, everybody wants to make it male.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, okay. It's male and female. It's like Adam, before Adam was
yeah.
split into Eve, was androgynous, was male and female.
True. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So therefore, when you get down to Jesus or any spiritual teacher like that, okay, it has to be gender, not Jesus, but it has to be a female gender there. So I have a sister called Ariel who goes to other universes, and she serves as the Holy Comforter here if you're a Christian. And so the women's and what they do are really important, as I've discussed before.
Yeah, we are.
So the only problem is I'm in love with all my female characters.
Oh, Michael Kell, though, he's a hopeless romantic, right?
Yep. So I don't know if there's anything you'd like to talk about.
It's funny. Well, you just mentioned Jesus, Old Testament. I'm Catholic. I'm not super into religion. I go on Sundays now because my son's been doing religion for the past 2 years. And last night he actually made his sacrament of reconciliation the first time he got to sit with a priest.
Congratulations.
And yeah, so he's 8. My other guy's almost 6. So we went to church last night. It was fun to see. He was so calm, cool, collective. I remember having to go to that priest when I was his age. I was so scared, so nervous, and he was just calm, cool, and collective. My little guy was like, even though he knew he didn't have to do it, he's like, I'm nervous. He's got the same anxiety issue I have. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun 2 years from now. But he walked back there, and I said, well, but you don't have to tell me. But what did you tell the priest? Because like I told you, like, and we talked about it ahead of time. And your religion teacher, what you're supposed to say. He said, I told him, and I used the curse words, and I told him every curse word that I use. I'm like, you actually said S F. And then he even said a harsher word that he said that his friends have said. It begins with an N. I'm like, you actually said that? He's like, I'm not judging you. I'm like, but it's okay. I'm like, those things that you hear. I said, thank you. I said, you didn't have to repeat them all to him. You could have just said curse words, but it just got me. It was cute. And I pushed my brother. Yeah. And so I could imagine that priest sitting there, like how the innocence of these children he's getting, like, and I know you love children, your book, but it's like the innocent child sitting there pouring out his heart. I said, well, to tell him how, you don't listen to your mom. And he's like, oh no, I didn't do that part. I'm like, okay. I'm like, because you would have been there for a little longer. Trying to talk to him, listening to your mom, respecting your mom. But that's, it's, I don't know if it's a hard thing for all 8-year-olds, but at least my 8-year-old, they don't want to listen. He wants to do what he wants to do, and he thinks mom's mean. But anyway, so I'm excited that he did this, his first sacrament, and then we have his communion coming up in 4 months. And so it just brings me back to that time when I was a child going through this too, learning about religion and everything. And it's also nice that he came home last night and he says, Mom, where's my cross? I gave him a cross necklace last year for Christmas, but he really don't wear it. He likes his football stuff. So I went into my chest and I got him a little cross, and he's like, okay, I want to wear this. I'm like, oh my gosh, did my son like connect with God and Jesus today? And like, this is great because I just feeling like a proud mama that he believes in something. And I'm not super religious. I don't care what religion you believe in. I think we're all going to the same place, right? So I hate people who do the whole my religion's better and this is right. No, I could care less. Believe what you believe. But I believe we're all going to the same darn place. And I think that's beautiful. And I do believe there's an afterlife. So now I'm getting into this. But anyway, so that's all I had to say for now, Michael Kell. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on after death? Where do we go? What do we do?
Well, remember I told you when I went to heaven as a 3-year-old, I met Swedenborg. I saw it happen. Okay, so I know Swedenborg. Okay, and so he just shows up in my books. And what people don't understand is that a lot of things that I write about, I'm actually doing. Maybe not myself as Michael Kell. Okay, but doing as the character.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about Swedenborg when Gabriel took Sophie to heaven. Actually, to the meeting place, okay? Because there's like 7 levels. In the middle level is the arrival zone, where everyone goes to. Okay. And, and so when the Catholics talk about purgatory, I think I don't think the Protestants believe in it. One of them do, okay, but they talk about purgatory, okay? Purgatory is the Holy Family's second gift to people.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
To give them another chance if you're not really, really bad, okay? And so when you go there, almost everybody goes to purgatory. Really be bad people don't go to purgatory. Except if they do go, it burns out the good in them so they can be where they really are, totally evil. Because you can't have good in heaven. You can't have evil you can't have good in hell and can't have good in heaven. And so purgatory is a really good gift, because if you realize you haven't fulfilled, now that you're there, haven't fulfilled what God asked you to do, in whatever religion it might be, is you have a chance to do community service.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you can be, see things from God's point of view and divine, not from human. And so most people after they die, I call it the Keston body.
Uh-huh.
The soul is misunderstood. Soul is not a divine thing in the Bible. God breathed his breath of life and gave man a soul. Man's soul is your awareness, your consciousness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether you can make it into something different, it's a different question. You can, but it's not the soul per se. And so most people get a chance to, get rehabilitated because they choose to. And some of them like being rehabilitated so much they continue to be helpers.
Yeah.
And I think those are the angels that come down and help people.
Mm-hmm.
You never see them. You don't notice them until something really drastic happens.
Yeah.
And, there most people either go to whatever heaven they earned, and go to every hell they earned. And,
yeah.
And the worst parts of hell are really bad. It's kind of like Dante said, because I've seen them, okay? And they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's not like fire and stuff being tortured that way. It's being tortured by hate tortures you. When there's no possible savior, it tortures you. You think you're God. All you people you make don't worship you.
Yeah.
So it's the ultimate. But I'm pretty sure what happens though is that since very few things are permanent in the universe other than what's divine. Okay. So there are immortals, but that's a very special state to be with, a very special work they had to do. And they refuse to go to heaven. Because they want to stay down and help mankind if they were humans, because they realize it's a really bad situation. It can't be changed because it's necessary, but it's a really bad situation, and the divine family doesn't like it, but they can't. They have to use it.
True.
So they do everything they can to help you. And I think after long amounts of time, depending on how good you were or how bad you were, is eventually so your Keston body, which means, Christians would call soul, just runs out of energy. So you just kind of fade away. You don't know. You don't know that, okay? Because it seems like ever for you. It fades away before the end of the universe, because only things that have gained immortality become permanent and leave into the eternal, unborn, can survive. And that's a good thing, because no evil can survive when one universe sucks all its energy up and puts it in the same space into a new universe. It cools down. And so all the evil comes from sentient creatures. Mankind creates the archetypes. Mankind created the devil, by being selfish and egotistical. And, and we all have a joint mind. It's a conjoint mind that humans are all part of. And, if these people get too greedy, they're too greedy, they make an archetype, like Jung said, and that archetype becomes mammon. The form varies depending on what culture you're in.
Yeah.
You see, and so we're responsible for what happens here, not God. Humans are responsible for everything that happens. And also we become angels. We can make good archetypes, the Holy Mother and the Holy Father, sacred images, and because we can create, and we have energies we can give, we create these things, not that God doesn't exist primarily. And so it's a pretty fair system, I think. And people in heaven think it's fair. People in hell don't think it's fair. If we had just little parts of hell, you kind of, it's not too bad. It's like living on Earth. We live in hell right here, maybe, but deeper down, it's pretty bad. And it's cold. It's not hot. It's cold.
Got it.
Freezing cold. At the bottom of hell, it's where all the evil people go, like Hitler, Putin, probably some American guys too. Is that it's a big cavern.
Putin.
In the light, God can't.
Where's Putin going?
He will be going down to the very bottom.
Oh yeah. And the rumor I saw on the news today that people are saying that maybe he's already dead. they're covering up for him because he's really sick, maybe with cancer or something. But now
He
they're
probably
thinking he's
sick,
not
but
even
yeah,
alive.
yeah.
I don't know, but
But
okay.
the bottom is John Cavern, which is it's only enough light from the divine so you can see what's going on, but there's no warmth to it. There's no love to it. There's no intelligence to it. It just so you can see what's going on. And it's always stalagmites, stalagmites coming down. And it's frozen, the big river frozen, and the waterfalls are frozen. And in the middle sits this horrendous creature with horns. You know, it would be like we imagined the devil to be, just a giant one. And frozen in the ice are all these people, men and women who wanted power, wanted to oppress people, wanted to be God, are frozen. Okay, and their hearts are shriveled up to this dark thing, which just feeds back out hate.
Yeah.
And so much hate coming out of their mouths that there's a cold breeze thrown through this whole cavern. And they all want to be like Satan. They all worship him. But he doesn't exist. He's an archetype.
Yeah.
You know, and they can't even do anything about it. And, you know, and in a time, they would not be no more either. So it's better in the book, actually. If you read in the book, it's much more descriptive. And that's in this book, Hell.
Wow.
But see, what I've seen over the years is that no one's absolutely right. Even Jesus was not absolutely right. Every fact, because when he was born, he didn't know what we do now. You know, and Buddha and all those people. And what you need to come to position is to realize that unless they're a psychopath, people are trying to tell you what they think is true, what they see.
Yeah.
And there's errors in it. And some have a lot of errors and some don't have too much. You know, and so the key to finding divinity, to find, you know, to connecting with it is to eliminate those parts that can't be true.
Yep.
It's called single averaging. It works. And, you know, and so I'm probably like you in that way, that I respect, you know, and take joy in all religions. Well, unless the sacrifice of kids, the Egypt ones, okay. But I mean, most religions, you know, because I realize that, you know, that most of the people that prescribe to that religion actually believe it.
Yeah.
You know, and they believe it for the good part of it, the healthy part.
Yeah.
You know, and so why would God make only one way to be right? You know, if God would like to have all his children, all God's children, his and her children come return, you have to have a lot of paths.
Yeah.
Now, some may be more accurate than others. Okay, I mean, Jesus was extremely accurate. You know what his image was and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I never believed that his crucifixion, I think, was an unintended error. You know, Paul saved everything by making a story out of it. You know, because there'd be no reason to be crucified. I mean, he could absorb sin, but he's not going to. Don't have to absorb sin forever. You know, and be tortured. Why would God punish his kid? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's just my bias, and so I enjoy going to church. It's a good sermon. Like my friend of mine, Brian.
Yeah.
He's a really generous person. He's like probably late 30s. And he does a lot of church things, and the church is a lot of outreach, small church, but you know, it feeds a lot of people, does a lot of things to get money when they need it, because he talks to God and shows up miraculously. So I don't like too much the worship part, you know, the music and things. They don't do the old hymns anymore, you know, which I have a feeling. And but I love his lectures, you know, his sermons. And then we go out and eat afterwards and talk about stuff. I don't know why he wants to talk to me for, but he likes me for some reason. And so it's a nice change of day to go to church, but it has to be a church where the pastor has to be with it.
Okay.
You know, it's not there to punish people, not there to, you know, to make other people feel better, you know, make them feel better than the average person. You know, they should be ones that, you know, realize that, you know, when you minister to those in the most need, like Jesus talked about, then you're complying with what Jesus wants us to do.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't like it.
Wow.
So that's what I would say.
Well, thank you for saying it.
Is it true? I don't know.
Do I know? I don't know, right? Oh, my goodness. Michael Kell, guys, if you're just tuning in, just want to remind you how we can reach out to him. Would you mind sharing your contact information?
Okay, if you you can go to our old email, which is email@enlightenment123.org, or our new email, which is also working, which is support@thegrailexercises.org.
Perfect.
The reason we changed is because I've talked about exercise a little bit, but I think the marketing them as the Grail exercises seems to be a stroke of genius. And so I hope to get more and more people involved in trying to find out who they are.
Awesome. Have
Yeah,
you
see,
figured
people
out?
don't know how good things are.
Oh, God. What?
I mean, people don't realize how good it can be on earth when you found the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God, depending on how you want to look at it. They're both sort of there. And I talked a little bit about it and stuff, but when you realize how it feels to be within the kingdom of God,
Yeah.
alive, you'll have nothing bothers you. You can
Yeah.
face anything. I mean, the martyrs probably went into that automatically,
Mm-hmm.
when they got tortured and killed, and it beats anything. I mean, it beats the best sex you could ever imagine in terms of how satisfying it is. And that can be mighty satisfying.
Yeah.
When the people are attuned and care about each other and they're not thinking about themselves, but thinking about the other. So, it'd be nice to get more people to experience this, since everybody can experience it, except for really evil people, probably. So it's a free gift. Well, you got to pay to get exposed to it, but it's a free gift because you already got it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So.
Now, do you go to church, Michael, or are you just spiritual
Okay.
within?
I used to talk to Brian, the pastor of Oak
Yeah.
Hill
Okay.
Church of God. Okay. So for years, I'd meet him at Starbucks and just sit down and talk to him, what he's doing and stuff. And the church needed some money, so I had extra money then. So I said, okay, you can go buy this computer, do whatever you need. I don't care. I don't know a lot, but I'll give it to you. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so for years, I was waiting for him to invite me to the church. He'd say, well, I can come to church if you want. And so he finally invited me. So why'd you show up there before? I said, because you finally invited me, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
But you get it? You got to invite me. I'm like a vampire. You have to invite me across the threshold. Wow, you guys, that's funny. And so I go on Sundays, and I find it nice. It's relaxing. I don't have to do much work then, just to talk to him and see his miracles and see how he talks to God and see how he prays and see how the people respond. See how kind he is. He has a second job even. So it's just nice. And it's funny because I can't remember what he's, a little bit I can, but it's hard to remember what he actually talked about, although I'm fully attent about what he's talking about when he's there. He says, I can look at you, you know what I'm saying? I go, okay, I do. And it's emotional, and it makes my eyes tear sometimes. So I think church is a good place to go, but I don't like the social part. I mean, social part's good for people who like to be social. I talk to people, I'm friendly, but I don't go for the community. I go because I like to listen to the word of God. Said originally, it's said from some other person's point of view.
Wow.
And he even believes that gender exists in heaven too.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to give him a Swedenborg book I came across, which should be an eye-opener for him.
Nice. Nice.
But it's not often you can meet people that actually can pray enough that actually talk to God, and then something happens. Like, they need some money, and all of a sudden they get a $26,000 check, and he's prayed for 4 days, and all of a sudden somebody they don't even know donates to the church.
Wow.
And so I find that amount of faith in a human being is incredible.
Beautiful. Michael, we got 3 minutes left. What else do you want to say, babe? We got lots to talk about. My goodness. I love it. We just talk. You can choose to talk about your work. You're so kind. You're very, most people that I interview, we talk about them, their work, you're just very like, okay, yeah, I have my books. I have this. You can buy them. You don't have to. Like, you're so like
Easygoing.
modest, easygoing, humble. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, it's interesting to call me that because some people think I'm arrogant.
Really?
And I never can figure out why.
I haven't seen that side.
Because I tell people, I said, there is certain people are better at certain things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say some people are superior in skill. Okay. And that's just fact. I mean, it's our society is merit here. But to be arrogant, I'd have to honestly believe that I'm better than anyone else, even a down and out drug addict who they take care of. Okay? And I don't feel that way. I don't like stupidity. That's the only thing I don't like is stupidity. My only thing I prejudice against is people being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Being ignorant, making a mistake, I'm kind. But downright stupidity to believe something that they know is not even true, but they want to act on it is disturbing to me. But it shouldn't make me arrogant, though.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you called me humble. I am blessed to have you to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Same here. I appreciate it. And unfortunately, we're out of time. We'll be back next week, probably same time, same place, right?
Yeah.
Unless I know sometimes you surprise me. Sometimes you show up on the schedule twice in a week. So how's
Yeah,
the
so
weather?
you have to arrange those things for me because if an emergency happens up or something,
Because what? What?
those extra weeks I get for free.
That's
You know,
awesome. Yeah, good for you.
when it
I don't know.
happens.
Awesome. Well, hold on. What's the weather like down there?
Well, today it's probably chilly, probably in the 40s, but it's sunny.
No snow? Do you ever
We don't
get
get snow in Atlanta very much.
you don't get snow at all?
No, like when I came here in like in '79, you get a little bit of snow, but what they get is ice storms. I remember
Mhm.
one time I was in graduate school and I have a car that day, and starts raining. There's sleet. Okay, it's raining, and it ended up with like 6 to 8 inches of ice on the road,
Oh my goodness.
like in
So,
a couple hours.
mhm.
You know, and I'm
Oh,
going, well, I got front wheel drive. I'll probably make it home in the old Ford Fiesta.
no.
I did, okay, but everywhere you drove, there's cars just off the road.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah,
people
I'm
trying to
waiting.
push the guys over the hill, and I'm just going, okay.
Wow. Yeah, I'm waiting. Here in New
We-
York, we haven't had any snow yet, but it's nice to live here to get the cold and have it at least twice, maybe 2, 3 times a year. We haven't had it yet. So we're turning, yeah, global warming. Is that what they call it? We'll
Well,
see.
things are moving up from Florida, but it's a long way
Yeah.
from this to New York.
Well, Michael, how can we reach you? Would you mind sharing again before we go?
Okay, you can go to support at the Grail, like Holy Grail, thegrailexercises.org, or email at enlightenment123.org.
Perfect. That's the one I think I
And
should
I'd love to get
email on
some
before.
comments.
All right.
If people hate me, I'd like to get a comment because then I can
Hey.
improve. But if I don't get comments, how can I improve?
True. Or maybe you just don't need to improve. You're that good. It's possible. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And you're definitely not arrogant. You're awesome. Have a fantastic day. And we'll talk soon, Michael. Enjoy. Bye.
I will. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.